I'd heard about Boomtown, I heard about Brevity, and everybody kept saying CINC. You gotta, if you want like the top of the line and lead gen at the time, which was 2016, you got to check out CINC. And coming from my background, I just go straight to the best solution and want to try it out because I feel like you waste a lot of time trying to find different solutions. It's just make a decision and go with it. I'm with Realty, and I have my broker license. Been in this side of real estate since 2015. Before 2015, I served as a controller for a real estate development company in Dallas and did that for 6 years. So that's when real in-depth knowledge about real estate, and then made the transition out of corporate to start my own kind of team and be more independent on the residential side.
Were you using anything for a lead gen CRM prior to CINC?
I was not. So I originally went to the Keller Williams office, and I was talking to several people in the office, and I'd heard about Boomtown, I heard about Brevity, and everybody kept saying CINC. You gotta, if you want like the top of the line and lead gen at the time, which was 2016, you got to check out CINC. And coming from my background, I just go straight to the best solution and want to try it out because I feel like you waste a lot of time trying to find different solutions. It's just make a decision and go with it. So I did. I went with CINC, and I've been with CINC the entire time.
Awesome. Do you mind giving us an idea of your typical annual average production and how large your team is?
Yeah, we've ranged from 5 to 10 agents. That's like our sweet spot. And we're doing from 75 to 100 transactions a year. That's like our volume level.
Cool. Okay, so then we got why you chose CINC. On the other hand, Callingly, why did you choose both CINC and Callingly? And how have they helped your business since you started?
So what I've found in using kind of Zillow is that agents love to be called. When you get them, when a call is coming in, they're more apt to answer it than getting them to do like cold calls or just follow-up calls. So we were looking for a solution to help the agents just increase their call volume because businesses started to slow down. So we've been pressing more along the lines of increasing call volume, increasing prospecting time, all of those things, and plus scheduling. That was one of the things that I was really needing a solution for, was an agent say, hey, I'm only available from say 1 to 3 today. Finding a solution that would give you the agent schedule and then have calls delivered to their phone during that time was something we were looking for. I didn't think it existed. And so when we actually learned about Callingly from another team within EXP that was using it, we checked it out. And then when we saw the ease of implementation, the recording capability, the fact that it calls you back and it's already got a cadence built into it for reaching out to new leads and getting connection, I was like, this is a no-brainer. And the team has responded well to using it. So we're still working out some of the processes on the team on how to optimize it, but the team response has been very favorable.
So I don't know if there's a more specific answer as how your team uses CINC and Callingly to prioritize which leads to call when and how to route them to the right agents.
Yeah, right now the way we prioritize is based on agent schedule. And we've set aside a time in the morning. We do Zoom prospecting together. And so from 9 to 11 is our prospecting time. And what I have found is the agents do some time to do their own prospecting versus receiving constant calls from Callingly. So we've designated the first hour from 9 to 10 a.m. as our Callingly time. And that means all the leads that have come in overnight and follow-up leads, they start calling the agents at 9 o'clock. So from 9 to 10, the agents are getting Callingly calls. And then after that, then they're able to do their own prospecting where they choose which buckets in CINC to prospect from. So it's been a good balance working with the team.
My question was going to be, how did you find the process of integrating CINC and Callingly?
I will tell you one of the things from a team leader, it brought a little joy, but it was an interesting thing. So we use the desktop app. And so I had someone dialing older leads, and next thing you know, it puts them in the queue. And so they're getting like 3 and 4 and 5 calls. I had no idea that, and the rest of the team's getting all these calls from one guy that's like manually dialing all the leads. So he was creating work for the other agents. And I was like, great, this is awesome. We're creating work by calling older leads, and it's creating the call queue. And so it was a really interesting moment that we learned. But now how to use that is priceless, because connecting with older leads is something that, you know, that in this market is really where you need to be focusing your time, is on those older leads.
Yeah, definitely. And since you can set up like the follow-up schedule and it sticks, that's just great.
Absolutely.
Leon, I guess from the product standpoint, can you speak to how this integration helps our clients work more efficiently versus when we weren't as closely integrated? What has changed? What's the big difference now?
Yeah, definitely. I think in the past, we've had CINC clients and they just used Zapier to connect it as best as they can. But now with a native integration, you have just so much more control, and the systems almost act one big system. So Callingly treats CINC as the source of truth, and then Callingly just does all the automations and the phone calls, and then sends everything back to CINC. And so, for example, when you have a new lead show up in CINC, you can now set up all these routing rules in Callingly. So depending on the price of the listing or the zip code or anything like that, you can automatically assign it to one team or another team. And then when Brooks, you were talking about like different priorities, you could have like a high priority team and a medium priority team, and you can assign the leads like based on, say, listing price or source to the different teams. And then you can have a stronger follow-up schedule for the priority team and less follow-ups for the medium team. So there's a lot more power that you can have. And then every single call then gets recorded. The result is tracked in Callingly, and then that all gets sent back to CINC. So you can go into CINC and you just see the status of all your leads, and everything's right there, right? You don't have to really check multiple places because we keep everything connected. And I think that's really the great part about this integration versus what we had before, is that now like the two systems really talk to each other almost like one big system.
Yeah, and I would echo exactly everything Leon said. And the other thing too about the Zapier connection, because I've had multiple different bolt-on sources, when you've got so much data moving back and forth, then all of a sudden your zaps go up, and then that increases your cost from just a maintenance perspective. So the API integration is really beneficial with as much data as we have going back and forth.
Yeah. And also one other thing, it's fast, right? Because with Callingly and what Brooks is saying, these days, speed to lead is just so important, right? As soon as someone's interested, you want to be, talking to them in 10 seconds. Right. And when you have these like third-party integrations, they tend to be slower. Since we have a direct connection now, we're placing a call to the agents within 2 seconds of a new lead coming in. It's great.
Brooks, back to you. Can you speak to how CINC and Callingly helps you like build these predictable processes, and maybe how it helps your team from a training and accountability standpoint?
So we're new to using the tool, so we're still working out a lot of the processes. But as far as the speed to lead, that is definitely improved. Just since we've only been using Callingly for I think 3 weeks now, and it has been very helpful with the speed to lead and just getting the agents to reach out to the clients and not having to be tied to their desk. That's a great thing, is they can be anywhere and their phone's going to start ringing, and they just have to have their script and know how to deliver their script and answer the call. So it's given the agents a lot more flexibility into not having to be at their desk the entire time when calls are coming in. That's how we're using it right now. But I've seen, for example, before using Callingly, our agents were probably doing about 30 calls an hour. And now with Callingly, in addition to their normal prospecting, they've doubled it. So I'm seeing our call volume just overall as a team doubled in the last 3 weeks, which is exciting for me.
You spoke about old leads and how obviously that's increasingly important right now. Are there any talk tracks that you've seen work better when you actually get a lead on the phone, whether for old leads or others?
We're just using the scripts we've used in the past. We're just reaching out, making sure we aren't dropping the ball. And when we're connecting with them, they're like, "Oh, I'm so glad you called," because we're really trying to figure out if now's a good time to buy or not. With the way interest rates are and stuff like that, people just don't know. And so reaching out to the older leads, we are having success. And with those older leads, we've already been through them a few times, so we know it's good contact information. So we're not having to validate the contact information. Now it's just getting them on the phone. And what Callingly is doing is helping us get more people on the phone because it's persistent in the calls, right? So maybe in the past, an agent would call a lead maybe 2 times in a day, and they feel awkward about doing it. Say, "I think I'm bothering them," and we're saying, "No, you're not." Just coaching them to know that they're not bothering leads when they're calling them multiple times in a day, you take that out of their mind, right? Because Callingly is going to do it for them, and the system's driving the process, not the mindset of the agent, which that's a huge benefit.
Brooks, I had another question for you. So you've been with CINC since 2018. Typically, one of the things we get feedback on from people who've been a client for a while is oftentimes they have a memorable story of an online lead, whether that's a lead that came through and closed the next day, or a lead where the brother and a sister ended up buying, a high net worth individual. Do you have a memorable story or two from an online lead coming in through CINC, one that might have come Connelly helped out with as well that you could share?
Yeah, we got a couple actually, more than just a couple, but
Sure.
one is a brand new agent joined my team and put him on CINC. His first lead was a relocation from California to Texas. And it ended up being his first closing ever as a real estate agent was $1.7 million. And so I was like, "Danny, this is not the norm, but
Okay.
what you did was awesome." And so it was great. It was just an online lead, family that was moving here from California, and they own their own land excavation business. And they were moving to Texas to relocate, and we were happy to help him. And just so happened that he got that lead. And then another family I personally worked, which was, we had 3 generations moving from the Los Angeles area to like the Fort Worth area. And it was the parents, their children, and then the grandchildren, and they were all moving here. So we connected through Commissions Inc. And then we were able to help. It took us about 9 months to get all families from California to Texas, but that was a great client to get through CINC, and we still talk with them today. So
That's awesome.
yeah, some good stories for sure.
I know you're in the Dallas area. We've heard that a lot from Texas. Is that something that you've seen an uptick of? Or I guess, how has that kind of impacted your business with people coming from other states post-pandemic, like looking in Texas?
Yeah, that's been a lot of the business we've been seeing is folks from other states moving into Texas. We've had some folks actually go back to California. They came here, they didn't like the heat. It got super hot and dry this past summer, and they said, "Well, you know what? We just have not fit in, so we're moving back." So we actually then work with them on selling their house and then hook them up with an agent back in California. It's the reloads, and then we get a lot of folks that are first-time home buyers. That is probably a big source of leads that we get through CINC as well, which is great because we always love educating them and helping them through the process. So we just get a large variety, because it really depends on the area that the lead is looking in, that then triggers the type of lead they are.
And on the relocation part, is there best contact info or a website for people to reach out to you if they are looking to refer somebody moving into Texas?
Our site, obviously, the Dallas Fort Worth Home Finder is the site that we use, and we claim we're the official and premier home search site in the DFW Metroplex. And I just say this about CINC is I'm super excited about the opportunity to open up integrations and have more things talk to CINC, and then learning about Callingly and the fact that it's Zillow for Google leads. That's what it is. That's the way I phrase it, is this is your Zillow for Google leads. So you don't need Zillow anymore when you've got a Callingly that you can connect with, because it's going to make sure that you connect with those leads that are coming in. And that's a much better option than the high dollar Zillow leads that people are having to pay for.